Yes, greetings, Lauren. Oh, sorry, love, didn't mean to pause you. My apologies, do go on.
I mean, if I'm watching a sci-fi series like Star Wars, no, I don't need the character to look or act like me, and in fact, it will probably take me out of the series if they do. And speaking of Star Wars, actually, including self-inserts is something that Kathleen Kennedy has been accused of with characters like Rey in the new Star Wars films, and also whoever that Phoebe Waller-Bridges woman played in the latest Indiana Jones. I mean, seriously, is it a coincidence that Lucasfilm's two biggest franchises under the leadership of Kathleen Kennedy now feature brunette young women as their main protagonists? There's nothing wrong with relatability, sure, but relatability was not the point of Star Wars, nor was it the point of Indiana Jones. And it's not just Kathleen Kennedy or that Spider-Man writer, guys. People online have been quick to point out all the different self-inserts that have arisen in entertainment over the past several years. And so, okay, you might be asking yourselves, we see the problem, but what exactly is the solution?
You need more men.
And well, I don't mean to sound like a South Park ripoff here, but I think the solution is to stop trying to pander to these people.
Funny that I had a bit of a different solution. Almost seems to culminate in an ending one. What's the word I'm looking for? There was a movie with the word something destination. What do you call the last lap of a race? Oh, well, I'm sure someone will tell me in the comment section, but anyway. My solution would be to gut the capacity to create the pandering bullshit and only hire men. My god, what a revolutionary concept that one would be. None of the XXs around to stifle creativity, art, or any expression. No nagging harpies fueling the current thing. What a glorious world that would be.
Put a ticket in and make a name gay!
I think it's mandatory to put that meme into any video where you discuss leftism in any media form. But there is a conversation to be had here about the relatability versus representation argument that sort of underlying underneath all of this. I think in some ways you can probably map this onto a masculine versus feminine worldview. There was a post I saw on Twitter a while ago that said, men are defined by action and women by appearance. And I thought about that for a while, and there's definitely an element of truth to that, especially with regards to the immersion aspect when it comes to narrative weaving. Like Lauren said, she doesn't want characters to look like her because it will take her out of the story. It would ruin the immersion, and I concur. I don't quite know if it's for the same reason, but I don't want to see myself represented in a piece of fiction because I want to get lost in the fiction, hence why it's called escapism. If they look like me but they didn't behave in a way that I would, it would simply irk me. I imagine this is why men don't give a damn about representation, because they don't care for it, especially when it comes at the expense of the law. The story is far more important for them. Whereas with the narcissistic arsehole females who do push for the self-inserts, it's because they could never get any male attention, and so the only way they can get attention, any attention, is through this horrible bastardization process. Well, either that or it's a power fantasy, and considering they are in a position to make art but instead ruin it with the self-inserts, well, that should tell you just how unbelievably selfish the liberal types really are. And by the way, considering that is what is really driving this push, don't think it's the ideology. It's not. The ideology is but the tool that's enabling the worst of this kind of behavior. It's like handing a monkey a loaded shotgun. They aren't equipped to deal with this level of power, and so they go stupid with it and make a mess. That's why I said previously, if there is a natural inclination for this kind of behavior, then they should be limited or outright barred from any arena where it could manifest and become a detriment to any endeavor. Hence why I said, only hire blokes. Prevention is better than cure, as the saying goes, lest the cure becomes, heavy-handed, shall we say. Now, I can't speak for women on account of me not having any ovaries, thank God for that, but the reason I said it's masculine versus feminine, rather than, say, men versus women, is because it occurred to me that I still look at either gender through the masculine lens. Characters in general are defined, and thus stir appeal, based on their actions. I'll throw out some characters that I've taken a shine to. Morrigan from Dragon Age Origins, Isabella from Dragon Age 2, and Jack from Mass Effect 2 and 3. Now, the former two from Dragon Age, Morrigan I like because her voice acting is excellent, not to mention the accent is pleasing to the ear, but she also has this delightfully dark satirical sense of humor. Isabella, on the other hand, despite possessing enough booba to drown a forearm in, if you spec'd her right with good weapons, she would mercilessly tear through just about anything. Fun times! Now, Jack from Mass Effect 2 is an interesting character when you compare her with her other female counterpart, Miranda. And no, don't mention Tally before you lot have an aneurysm over here. I know she's a fan favorite for so many people, very much the girl next door type, but alas, she is not human. Now, on face value, you would expect someone like myself, who is more of a traditionalist, to go for Miranda. After all, she is arguably more attractive than Jack, dresses more conservatively. Keep in mind, this is in comparison to a lass who wears only a belt above the waist, and she is arguably more feminine. However, I always prefer Jack. Why? Well, it's odd considering all of the above, not to mention she has quite a few attributes that make her quite feminist-esque, or rather what feminists wish they could be. And the simple answer is, she's interesting. She is, after all, a powerful biotic. When you first meet her, she tears through her bondage, tortures a mech, and blasts a hole in the wall, so she can hold her own in a fight. She's covered in enough tattoos to make a suicide girl blush, and her attire doesn't exactly scream classy modesty over here. However, should you choose to get to know the psychotic biotic, a nickname she acquires in 3, you will learn that she was essentially held prisoner as a test subject in a lab as a youth, injected with all kinds of drugs to turn her into said powerful biotic. She was abused, tortured, and forced to fight, events no doubt playing a huge role in the development of her attitude and brash personality. So these attributes are not part and parcel of some ideological indoctrination. They're the product of brutal circumstances. She had to become this way or else she'd have died. This really says more about me and what kind of woman I'm attracted to, doesn't it? Anyway, before this video turns into my own personal therapy session over here, and a note to all the smartasses in the comment section, no, I did not pick Jack so I can fix her. Hell, I liked it the moment she torched the mech and burst a hole through the wall. Letting her guard down once before almost got her killed. Well, at least according to her anyway. But given her upbringing, you can sort of forgive her shoot first and ask questions later kind of approach. As a consequence, she is incredibly standoffish and hyper-vigilant of anyone who comes near her, and will openly express as much. But should you probe slowly bit by bit, you will discover why she is like this. She was with a guy in a weapons raid that got messy. They ended up separated, and he had a choice to either leave with the guns or go back for Jack. He went back for Jack and got himself killed. Later on, she heard a recording of the life he had planned for them, and you can tell that left a permanent scar Jack does not want to experience ever again, and she's been hardened by this ever since. So not only does she have survivor's guilt, but she also has a broken heart. Good God! Vulnerability and depth, 2 things no female characters have these days. And so, despite having all of this biotic ass-kickery, she is not a machine. And once she realizes that despite Shepard being able to tell she's erected this nice little tower of shit to hide behind, his words, great writing by the way, she takes a leap of faith and you get to see her vulnerable side and a romance moment for your efforts. Well done indeed. And then in 3, through her reputation being bolstered having helped you, she gets placed in charge of teaching a group of biotic students. And having suffered at the hands of cruel adults as a child, but shown affection by Shepard, she has developed parental characteristics, which is blended very well with her character type. Because they're an addition to her personality, not a wholesale change, given that despite being female, she has quite a masculine teaching style, blunt and brute force trauma, much like how she fights. And she even ends up marking Shepard with a tattoo. Bit possessive in an odd way, but it fits her character. Now, to who I ask is Jack relatable? Does she represent anyone? Not anyone that I know, but she's well written, and she has depth, she has an interesting story arc, she has flaws and weaknesses. No one has a problem with the girl boss archetype in general. What they have a problem with is a character that is lacking the latter because they're fucking boring! If there is no journey or challenge, then why the hell am I wasting my time watching this person? You've not made any characters, you've made machines with no fucking personality. You've lumped out nothing but lifeless drones fueled by a bastardized version of stoicism. Strikes me as kind of odd they want to make female characters with no emotion and also shun the female form. Which begs the question, what the fuck is left then? This is why you need to give the pen back to men. Evidently only they can conjure up a character that isn't ugly as sin and drowning in penis envy. For a very obvious reason, we're nowhere near as misogynistic as women are. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.